What's up guys, it's Chadlantis, and I want to do a quick few tips for playing on Widow's Court within the Trials of Osiris in the game Destiny. I have a heat map. Yay! Bungie actually did a heat map for this map from the previous times that they played on Trials of Osiris in the past. I have my hand 88 mouse, so I'll be pointing out some stuff for you to be seeing on the screen, so be on the lookout for the mouse because my hand cuts off. So I can't do that, so I can have a mouse to show everything for you. One quick thing to keep note for Widow's Court is freaking snipers, man, freaking snipers everywhere. Don't use shotguns like at all. If you use shotguns, you can be successful. I'm not going to ever say that you can't be successful using anything in this game, because if you just grossly outskill somebody, you can just beat them. That's just how things work. Shotgunning is definitely a disadvantage on this map. Typically people can make a lot of successful plays with shotgunning, and I've actually been doing a lot of practice previously with shotgunning to try to do that for trials, because I actually personally enjoy shotgunning more. However, you should definitely snipe on this map, from my recommendation, if you're comfortable with it. If you've like never sniped in your life, then obviously you're gonna not be very good at sniping because you know, not used to it. So if so, then shotgun. If you have no confidence in your sniping ability whatsoever, then shotgun instead. But if you are confident, you're at least comfortable with sniping, do that one. Do the sniping thing if you're comfortable with it. Now on this heat map, one thing you notice is a lot of the blue is kind of like basically people die everywhere in this map. The reason why people die everywhere in this map is because people get caught just standing out the open like all the time, all the freaking time. So if you're ever just standing out the open, just know that you're exposed and try to find a corner to hide around, like a corner or a wall. Have some kind of cover so somebody who's like sitting out in a perch area is hard scoping won't be able to pick you off easily standing out in the open. Pretty much everywhere that's blue is something where that's exposed for the most part. One area to keep note of is all of the red dot areas, which is basically like clusters of red. The darker the red means more people die there. People die in the blue areas as well, but it's not that like very common, partly because that's like the entire map. Obviously people don't die in the entire map all the time, but the most common locations of death are in the dark red areas. Basically what you want to keep in mind is memorize those dark red areas and then never go there, because pretty much everybody that goes to the dark red areas are going to snipe at a location that they can be sniped in return. So that basically means you're a 50-50 chance of dying. On an average basis, you'll probably die half the time in those locations. They're really tempting because these seem like you have a really good vantage point, and it's like, man, I can go like this location, I'll get a good line of sight on these guys over here. But one thing to keep note for sniping is if you have a line of sight on somebody, typically they have a line of sight on you as well. You'll be dying to them just as much as you'll be killing them. There you go, when you said it right. So I'm gonna go ahead and cover over the basics of the map. Down here is alpha spawn, up here is bravo spawn. Bravo spawn has a high ground, and in my opinion, and as well as the opinion of many other people, it definitely has the advantage on this map. I'll go and explain why later. This here is church. This is called castle. This is apartments right here. They call this A cap. This is capture point. This is B capture right here. This is C capture, but they don't really call it C capture. They just call it inside church. But if you want to distinguishly say which location of church, you can say far end of church or C cap side of church is what you can say. This is castle perch right up here, which is a nice perch and look over. These are generally called stairs. You can call people stairs, head glitch, or stair wall right here if you want to be very specific. A walker is back here. Somebody's sitting way back on that hill on the very back side of A cap. That gives a big sniping angle from way back there down to here. That's called walker. This is silo or gazebo or kiosk. I like to call it kiosk, which is right here. And I call this kiosk courtyard right here. And you can pretty much make names for pretty much everywhere. Everywhere else though is for the most part just a wide open area. The special box locations is one right here next to B cap, one up top on the castle perch, one at the bottom here next to dumpsters, and there's one right here at the lower part of the ramp of kiosk and kiosk courtyards. Bottom part here, there's a giant like wall right behind it. This right here is called street, so you can see like far left side if you're alpha spawn, or you can go to apartments. This would be street down this line right here, and this is stairs. With that covered, the last things to keep in mind is heavy spawn right here is in courtyard, and also here is bravo spawn of heavy. Pretty much everybody calls this courtyard heavy, and then this is bravo heavy, because alpha spawn is way over here, which is they have to cover half the distance of the freaking map to get to their heavy box, whereas bravo can just kind of go right here. And they're like spawning right next to the heavy box. It's a really weird map design for Trials of Osiris. It's really odd that they would have that heavy location right over here, which is a super exposed heavy location, whereas the Bravo heavy is generally like concealed, and you can generally like hold it off pretty well. Now one quick thing for heavy rounds, which I can cover really easily, is if I spawn on alpha down here, I pretty much never go for heavy. I'll go straight up here upstairs and try to snipe from kiosk down to here, because if you jump on top of kiosk, you have a perfect quick snipe line down to here, and a lot of people who are at the heavy box from Bravo spawn will just sit there. What you'll see in a lot of Trials of Osiris matches is people just kind of sit around the heavy and just wait to pick it up pretty much all the time. And especially in this map, when you're there on Bravo spawn, they're just going to walk over here and they'll sit behind this barricade, do a head glitch where you can barely see their head if you're going down from this line right here trying to go up, and they'll just head glitch it and just sit there. That's all they'll do. So if you go up to the kiosk, you can just snipe down there, or you can use a super to like try to safely go through street. Try to make sure they're not hard scoping you down the street if you're going around the corner, so scope it out really quick first and then progress forward. Same with if you're going from the castle line over near B cap. If you're going down this line, you can get close on their business with a super very easily. However, they also have the head glitches, as I just mentioned, that can snipe down this line, so just be careful on your approach. Try to hide behind corners and use objects and obstacles as cover on your approach towards the heavy when you're pushing it. Now, if you're going for this heavy and playing this one right here, if you want to run out there and just stand next to the heavy, you're probably going to die. Likely what I do if I'm on alpha spawn is I'll push upstairs. The reason why I push upstairs instead of going on street or down B cap lanes very often is because a lot of people from Bravo spawn really enjoy pushing towards heavy, and they do not really expect you to be pushing straight up the stairs and challenging them up the stairs. Typically they'll be running straight over here really fast, trying to either like beeline it towards apartments to try to get an angle on heavy, or they just run straight to this wall to try like throw grenades or something over. If you run straight up these stairs, almost always they'll be caught off guard and have no idea that you're actually running up those stairs, and you'll typically be able to get grenades off on them and use a primary to gun them down and stuff like that pretty easily. Pretty much all the time that actually works out for me. But be cautious on it, because there is also a chance that they'll be waiting for you. Now, if I'm on Bravo spawn, I pretty much rush their heavy every single time as well. However, when I do that, I do keep in mind that people could be coming up the stairs, so I get ready for it mentally and prepare for it. So if I see them on radar, then I definitely prepare for them coming up the stairs. I throw a grenade preemptively and gun them down on the way in. If they are not pushing upstairs, then I just run over the apartments and then get an easy snipe line towards this heavy ammo, and I can get there faster than they can get to this area on the church. So if I get there really quick and they haven't gotten to church yet, then I can just snipe over there, and if they're not over here waiting, then I'm just going to assume that maybe at church or pushing to our heavy, and I'll get out of there. There's a lot of tactics for what happens on heavy round, but basically all the fighting happens around here if there is fighting. Otherwise, people just kind of like sit on heavy ammo. But definitely I do not advise ever to just sit on heavy ammo. I love it when the enemy team sits on heavy ammo box and just stands there. They don't have scouts out for radar, they don't prepare, they don't like have lines of sight prepared for all directions. They just sit there at heavy and wait for it to come in. I love that because I pretty much kill all of the people that do that, and it's great. So definitely whenever you're going to play your own heavy, try and pick up heavy, scout out, spread out a little bit, see if the other team's going to rush you and push you or whatever. Be prepared. Another common strategy from Bravo is they run straight up the castle perch and try to snipe at the heavy box. Now, that's all a heavy round. That's a big deal because heavy round's actually really interesting and weird, and I kind of hate it as always, but definitely on this map because it's a little wonky. So I want to explain a lot of strategies for you. Regarding normal rounds for you though, if you're on Bravo spawn, you have a huge advantage because you have head glitches and you have high ground. As I explained before, people have to go up to high grounds. They typically have to jump, which makes them vulnerable in the air. They cannot aim very well. They're not moving very much, so they're just kind of in the air. So you have a huge advantage on the high ground on that aspect. Also, down here at the capture point, yeah, sure, Alpha spawn can go and just control the capture point right here, but they can be sniped from castle perch, they can be sniped from street corner right here, they can be sniped from apartments, they can be sniped from top of the stairs. Somebody can hop on this wall right here and just snipe them from there. There's a lot of different angles you have to cover at all times, and at the very least, people from the high grounds are going to be launching grenades over towards you, and they have a very easy access towards you for like super engagements, encroachments, stuff like that. You're kind of just standing out here in the courtyard, kind of exposed for the most part, so you're very vulnerable while standing out in the courtyard. So I don't really advise just standing there for a long time. I do that sometimes when I get really lazy and my mind just doesn't strategize very well, but I definitely do not advise standing around this courtyard because you're very exposed and people can easily pick you off and get good angles on you. Now, with me explaining that you don't want to stand on the red spots, pretty much anywhere else is an angle that you want to look for killing somebody who will be standing on the red spots, because almost everybody is going to be hard scoping where those red dots are. So memorize the red dots, expect them to be hard scoping there, and take them out from an angle that they don't expect. Such as down here on this far side of church, you will be able to shoot up towards this stairs area or into apartments if they're going there. For the castle right here, some people sit way back in the spawn, which I hate that, but it's freaking effective for shooting people at castle because people typically never look all the way back here when they scope. They look and scan around this area right here. So if you you stand way back here, you usually have an edge on shooting them down. A lot of people typically have been using this little slanted area right here for a head glitch. It's pretty useful and pretty good for sniping anybody on the courtyard. However, if they push you, you have like no real way of escaping very easily. So it's very vulnerable, but a lot of people don't really push either. So it might be actually a good location for you. My common strategies for Bravo spawn up top is I'll run over to apartments, try to get a snipe line down. If I get the win, they'll be ready for me there. If I get kills there, and then I'll run over to the castle for the future rounds and try to make a play from there, or hold up top if they like to rush us. If I don't get kills on the first round, then I'll keep on going to apartments over and over until I eventually do get a kill from apartments, in which case they'll be prepared and ready for me there, in which case I'll stop doing that strategy because you can easily be countered if you go there and they're expecting you there. And I'll go over to castle because I really enjoy playing this area. There's not a lot of 50-50 snipe lines in this location right here. It's a lot of close quarter stuff, and typically I cannot play people in the neutral game with my primary weapon beating up them. I very rarely go down street or go down the stairs unless I have a supercharge to be able to rush them with. From alpha spawn, my typical strategies is I'll either run straight up this little alleyway right here and try to hug this wall so I don't get sniped with people on top of the stairs, and try to slide past these walls and get some grenades off of them, go over to apartments and try to get an angle from apartments top over to them, generally sniping around this area or up at kiosk. You can get good angles from there, or they'll be sniping around in the ACAP area. If they're watching apartments and watching these snipe areas right here very well and I don't get good angles on them, then typically the next round, or even that same round if it takes long enough, I'll go down the street instead, because you can typically see if nobody is watching street. I'll push up street, kind of go over to this location over here on the far side, closer to the spawn of the kiosk courtyard, and get angles over here. I've typically found that going on this side of that courtyard, up this ramp on the far side next to the wall, has a better advantage when you're pushing on the other team than this side stairway. So I definitely would suggest going on this side as well. The unfortunate thing about this map is that there is a lot of snipe lines, and that's kind of just the big issue that I have with the map, is I don't really enjoy sniping, and almost everything about this map is hard scopers using head glitches and just sniping everywhere. Everybody just hard scoping and sniping everywhere. So just be cautious of that. Be very aware. Try not to die in those red spots, because typically where those red spot deaths are is just everybody's going to be standing there with a good lines of sight on each other, and if you die there, it's going to be very hard for your team to recover and try to get your res to bring you back to a 3v3 for that round. So if you do die, make sure where you die is not in a red spot. If you die in a red spot, you pretty much ruin the team's chances of having an even power level team. So be sure to die in the blue spot instead. I can give you a lot of strategies and for very specific situations all day long, but the very basic element for this map, and pretty much every other map that has a heat map, is make sure you stay away from red spots and stay within the blue spots. Those blue spots are going to be a lot safer, not only for you to not die in the first place, but also if you do die, then it's going to be a lot easier for your teammates to recover. Be sure you're prepared with tier 5 intellect and tier 5 discipline. Discipline because there's going to be a lot of grenades thrown over these locations, especially the stairs here, to lead in before the people charge for the finishing blows. Also, there's going to be a lot of instances and many games that you'll be playing that a lot of people are just standing around, hard scoping corners, and you're going to be very patiently and cautiously trying to find a good angle where you get an advantage on the other team. Because of that, it's going to be charging a lot of super energy by just overtime. Intellect is a very big deal for this map for sure. A lot of people run Blade Dancer on this map because quick draw, blink, and other aspects of the Blade Dancer subclass really cater to sniping battles and getting out of harsh situations very fast. For that same reason, a lot of people also run Striker Titans because of Twilight Garrison, as well as just better control or increased control, I forget what it's called, but it gives you Titan skating so you can get out of situations really fast and move to new locations in better angles faster. And if you do that really fast, you can catch off hard scopes off guard because they don't check radar. If you get there fast enough, they might still be hard scoping and you'll be shooting them from the side. Very easy. As far as supers, a lot of people like to use Nova Bombs for cross map shutdowns of people. They also like to use Death from Above for strikers. The Blade Dancer is not too bad for this map. And also the best super for this map in my opinion is Golden Gun. A lot of people sit around with the Golden Gun supers and it's very terrifying because you activate it, you jump over walls or jump around corners, you'll be able to get a quick shot off people very easily, and it won't be very easy for them to shoot you down. Just one tip, if you are running Golden Gun, be sure you slide or jump around every snipe line around every corner, because if you just walk around the corner, they'll be hard scoping it and will likely take you out before you can shoot them down. Also, just as I pointed out as a general tip as well, really make sure when you're in Golden Gun state to not be in any of these red dot areas, because you are likely going to get sniped before you can even use your super. That's the general rundown for this map that I have. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, or praise for me for these tips videos, be sure to send them in the comments below. You can reach out to me on Twitter at Chadlantis TV. You can hit up my Twitch chat, twitch.tv/Chadlantis, where I run trials carries and as well as virgin carries on the weekends, Fridays through Mondays. I'll be happy to answer any questions you have and provide any more advice that you seek regarding the trials tips for general maps or for general trials advice and as a whole. I'd be happy happy to help out any way I can. Until next time, citizens, thank you so much for being you, and thank you as always for watching.